Ahoy there, and welcome to Nautical Tales and Nature Trails, recreation in southeastern Connecticut and southern Rhode Island. I'm your host, Will Morrissey, and I'll be your compass as we explore the region. There are so many things going on in this part of the woods, and we'd like to bring it to you. My wife, Bridget Morrissey, she helps a lot of people find their way around here. She's running up and down from Old Lyme to Charlestown, zigzagging from Mystic to Mashantucket to Uncasville. She knows all the back roads because she hates driving on I-95, but she goes by all these different places and knows where they all are. And we've got so many people moving into the region with all the students that are coming in at UConn at Avery Point, Mitchell College, Connecticut College, got the cadets at the United States Coast Guard Academy. We got people that are coming here to work, whether they're building submarines or the brave souls that are operating the submarines. We've got a lot of people moving into the area. And even the people that live here don't know all the different things that they can do. So we want to take a little look at what's going on, and today we're going to take a hike. We're going to talk with Dennis Main, the president of the Avalonia Land Conservancy. Hi, Dennis, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you, Will, for having me.
Dennis, there is so much going on with land conservation and everything. How did you get involved with it?
Well, I'm an Eagle Scout. I grew up with conservation being something we did. 4-H was something that we did. One of our neighbors was one of the early officers of Avalonia, which was at that time known as Mashantucket Land Trust. It was renamed in 1985. It is now at its 55th year. So growing up with that, it's just almost by osmosis. There were so many people around that were involved with Avalonia. When I retired and they were looking for an additional person to come in, I joined the board and have been working with them ever since.
Well, we had Susan Cullen, the Scoutmaster of Troop 9 over in Pawcatuck a couple of weeks ago, and I'm an Eagle Scout, you're an Eagle Scout. I can understand where conservation would be important to you. I think we have a video that explains Avalonia Land Conservancy a little bit. Do you think we can bring that up?
Sure.
Long before you found this place, and long after you leave, you dream about it. Forests of oak and evergreens, fields of waving goldenrod, and blue-green oceans, powered by wind and waves. It is our deep connection to nature that defines us. Within Avalonia, we are sustained by healthy soil, clean water, and something more. It is here that we grow our sense of curiosity and cultivate a relationship with something larger than ourselves. As caretakers, we are guided by our promise to protect and preserve. We manage its wildlife habitats and save its fragile ecology to ensure they are not lost. We do this for future generations, so they can experience the untamed beauty and wonder of being outside. Our land preserves wind their way throughout southeastern Connecticut, and many are closer than you think. Step off the streets of Mystic and explore our many trails near the shoreline. Or go deep into the woods of North Stonington, Ledyard, or Preston, and find a place to call your own. We invite you to connect with Avalonia, to wander and explore. And when you, like us, are moved by the resilience, force, and fragility of this place, you can help. Become rooted to what calls to you. Avalonia.
Well, we're certainly talking about nautical tales and nature trails today, aren't we? We've got a lot of waterways there as well as hiking trails.
Yes, as you can see from that video, there's such diverse habitat that we have. The wildlife is really immense. Our mission statement basically, and our mission is to both acquire, preserve, and then educate the public, so it's basically that's what we're doing, is acquiring the property, protecting it through the stewardship of it, but also then educating. And you can get a lot of information off our website, avalonia.org, and you can also email into our office or call in. We have staff that is available to assist.
Well, that's something else. I mean, you mentioned that you acquire property. I mean, how many acres of property do you have right now, and are you looking to acquire more?
Currently, we are conserving 5,000 plus acres. We have about 1,500 more in the pipeline, and some of these are really some very special preserves. We've gotten small ones, as small as 1.4 acres recently we closed on, to as large as the 669 acre one that we're working on currently in Montville and Salem.
Now, you say Montville and Salem, so you go from all the way from Salem down to Stonington. Do you? I believe you have some in North Stonington too.
Yes, we have originally started out as 4 towns: Groton, Ledyard, Stonington, and North Stonington. Expanded by 1980 to all the towns east of the of the Thames River, excuse me. And Norwich had actually attempted to become a member, and they declined at the time. But subsequent to that, Avalonia's largest preserve conservation effort was 440 acres in Norwich, which is the Browning Conservation Easement. Currently, we are looking at acquiring property in the entire southeastern Connecticut area, which is similar to the New London County defines. We have a 669 acre one we're looking at right now. We have a 159 acre one that we're about to close on in Basra and in Montville, as well as working with East Lyme to potentially merge with that organization, and that's almost another 800 acres.
Now, do all of these different preserves, are they all open to the public, or do you save some for specific purposes?
All of our preserves that are fee-owned are generally open to the public unless there's some specific prohibition. For example, we have a nice small 2-acre one down on the Mystic River that is marsh. We don't have it trailed because it's a fragile habitat, but that's one you'll see show up in our pictures later. That is a great spot for pulling off the road, looking at the state of Connecticut's osprey platform that draws osprey in there every year. So it's good to view, but you don't necessarily have a trail everywhere. About 50% of our preserves are trailed. We also have some conservation easements. The conservation easements are still owned privately, so those tend not to be trailed as well, but they are conserved.
When you talk about a trail, we had Joan Smith from the Groton Open Space Association a couple weeks ago, and there were horses on some of the trails that we saw. But are all the trails wide, or are some of them just paths? Or how does that work?
It depends on the preserve. We have a preserve that we just acquired from the Nature Conservancy. That goes back to 1971 when they acquired it. That one of the reasons it was protected was for the bridle paths that are there. And those bridle paths were nice wide. There were 4 horse ranches or farms around it that use that for horse paths, and part of the responsibility was to keep those trails open. There are not a lot that have horse trails, but for walking, hiking, snowshoeing in the winter, even potentially snow skis in the winter if there's enough snow.
A little cross country?
It's been too much. It's been too warm, so there's probably not a lot of cross country skiing going on. But yes, photography obviously is a big one with birding. We have 42 or 43 preserves that now are Cornell University eBird hotspots. So people can go on the eBird application and go out there and see what's been seen there before and search for their special birds.
Well, you mentioned birds and photography. We do have a video on that. Well, it's more than just birds. Can we run that, please?
This is an annual contest, photo contest that we do, both for our members and for others, but it's limited to only taking pictures on our preserves. This is one Dodge paddock down at the Mystic Coastline in the village. This site has roughly 130 birds have been seen there. This is Henny. One of our photographers has actually in the past gotten red-headed woodpeckers here. You'll also get the herons nesting. Flowers abound. Knox Preserve down in Stonington off of Route 1 is an awesome preserve, as is Benedict Benson. Benedict Benson is one that actually, because of the ground nesting birds, we limit dogs. They're not allowed on that particular preserve. Most they are, but that is one that is not. And again, some of the reasons why dogs are not limited on specific birds or specific preserves are because of ground nesting birds and other animals that are there.
This isn't something you'll see in your backyard in some places, but you might find some of these.
On Tri-Town, that's one that has nesting cerulean warblers, which is very unusual. And that's a 500+ acre preserve at this point with some of the additional butter land that we've gotten there. Pafford you could see from running down Stonington Road. Hoffman Evergreen, we did a great patch cut and the birds that came back there were tremendous. Again, Knox Preserve, right on the coastline, very nice little preserve. Dodge Paddock again on the right on the coast. You can see Sandy Point, which is an island that we own in Rhode Island.
Oh, really?
In the '38 hurricane, it was separated from Misquamicut, and part is in Connecticut, part is in Rhode Island, and that was one of the reasons we changed our charter to allow us to acquire land anywhere. We now own an island in New York and an island in Rhode Island.
Good for you. You got all kinds of things to look at here.
Avery Preserve, again, that's one from 1971. That brought us to 106 acres at the time. It was one of our earliest preserves of about 80 acres.
Now, if you're a flower lover, you're going to find a lot of different places. We had at the Groton Open Space Association showing a mountain laurel was a big attraction.
It is, and we've got a number of preserves in Ledger that have those.
Well, it's a state flower. You know, you want to show it off.
Preston Nature Preserve is a nice preserve, gets a lot of visitation. It's got a good deal of paths that go around through varied habitat. You can see anything from a hummingbird there to indigo buntings.
Well, it's nice that you have this little contest, this photo contest. Does it run all year long?
It runs once a year, and this one was done, it finished up in October. We will be doing one again next year. You can see the varied habitat on Hoffman Evergreen. We actually did a patch cut in there to bring back the bird habitat. Fenner's Wood is a nice one right off Main Street, you know, so you're as close to Mystic as you are. That one was the one we just acquired another 1.4 acre of butter from the church, St. Michael's, which originally was intended as a Boy Scout camp in 1934. So the fact that it came from St. Michael's and was saved, you know, was really kind of wonderful. Simmons Preserve is a nice one right on Quannaduck Cove in Stonington. You can either look from there or off the bridge. E. Sorensen is one of our volunteers, Downs Marsh. She lives in that area, and that's a nice little preserve that is not trailed again because it is marsh area that's protected, but again, you can see the osprey nest there.
Well, this is nice that, you know, the Knox Preserve goes right down to the water like this. You know, I mean, you can appreciate taking a hike through the woods, but it's nice to, see the birds that are flying around the water too.
You can. This was one, Knox Preserve is one where one of our volunteers, Beth Sullivan, had a banding project going on with purple martins. They raised a great deal of purple martins, aside from all of the other birds that were along the shoreline, etc. But Knox is a favorite because of that varied habitat. Even a short-eared owl has been seen there. It's quite a number of species. And then you're coming up to Cedarwood Preserve, one of my favorites. That's in Norwich, one of our new acquisitions. This was a mulberry tree. And here's a shot.
Oh, look who took this shot.
Look who took this shot. Yeah. This was a young fledgling. We were cleaning off the invasives off of the mulberry tree, and the young fledgling red-bellied woodpecker was there just feasting away.
Well, Dennis, this is fascinating. I mean, how many people do you think visit, in a year, to all your different places? I mean, is there one that's more popular than the others to visit?
We get hundreds of visitors. Well, actually, we've got up to probably 1,000 donors that are supporters of Avalonia. We've got at least 100 volunteers that work out on preserves. We've got town committees that number in the dozens on each committee. I would say thousands, and because we have almost 260,000 people in New London County, and these are open to the public and generally, just in Norwich alone we have 40,000, so getting 2 extra preserves in Norwich like we did was really pretty fascinating and very important to get people out onto the land and get to enjoy it.
Well, you must have a couple of regulations or rules that, you must have a carry out what you carry in policy. I'm sure you're not emptying garbage cans in the middle of the preserves.
Absolutely. Well, and one of the things that we did put out was a brochure, basically says take only pictures and leave only footprints. We also have a dog policy, and that is to protect both the habitat as well as the dogs and other visitors, et cetera. So please keep it on a leash when you're out there. Most of our preserves welcome dogs, and I know that's one of the prime things that people like to go out for is to walk their dogs. So we just do ask that you keep them on a leash on preserves, and the few that are not where it's special habitat that it's not appropriate, please keep the dogs off of those. It'll be better for you and Fido.
Yeah. No, that's great. I mean, people are always looking for places to take their pets, and a little different. But I can understand wanting to keep them on a leash, especially you don't know what's going to be out there or what they're going to want to chase. So I mean that's a good rule to have. So you've got you talked about a lot of places that you do have, and you talked about places that you're looking to get. Is there a special project that you're working on now?
Yes, and we've actually got a video if you want to bring that up.
Water. Its connection to our land gets overlooked. And more importantly, its journey to our homes goes unnoticed. But at Avalonia, we want to change that. Forests, cedar swamps, rivers, and marshes, they each help keep our water clean by filtering out harmful chemicals. Did you know that one tree filters 100 gallons of water per day? That's 36,000 gallons of water per year. Just imagine what a whole forest can do. In fact, for every 10% increase in forest cover, there's a 20% decrease in water treatment costs. But when land is developed, chemicals, fuels, and pesticides run off into the streams, rivers, and lakes. So cities like New York and Boston have saved billions in water treatment facilities by investing in forest conservation. The Bond property in Montville, Connecticut, is 669 acres of forests, rivers, and ponds. And Avalonia wants to save it. Help us protect the land that protects your water. Visit avalonia.org for more.
It's fascinating. I didn't realize that trees were so important to filtering water. I understand, the carbon footprint and everything, taking care of carbon dioxide and everything. But can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, this is an important video we did, and it's part of a promotional effort that as we're trying to acquire, and I should give a shout out to DEEP. They have an open space water land acquisition program, and we got a large grant, and we're finishing up the funding on this particular project. But this one has 50% of its boundary actually abuts the New London water company, which is the water source for New London and the area. And that's one of the primary reasons we're looking to save this, is because it is for the watershed protection. Plus it gives a lot of open forestry space. I've actually seen a video of a bear, black bear on this preserve. There's bobcats and a lot of other the animals too, but there's also there was some gravel excavation done over the last 50 years, and there's some man-made ponds that really provide a great deal of a water area down there, and great potentially fishing and some of the other activities that could be done there. But this was one we're looking to conserve this year, so that's part of the 1,500 acres that we were talking about that were in the pipeline that we're looking to conserve. But this is probably the prime one.
I know they talk an awful lot about Stonington bears at Stonington High School, but to say that you had one on one of your videos, I mean, a bear sighting in Stonington doesn't happen very often. I talked to somebody that was down from Avon, and they said they get a bear almost every day in their backyard up that way, in the northern part of the state. But to capture a bear on one of the videos, it's a little different.
Actually, well, this year, all 169 towns in Connecticut have now had a bear spotted. And we had a video from a neighbor at the Cedar Wood Preserve where that red-bellied woodpecker picture was from, tearing down a feeder in her backyard. And when it exited her yard, it went into our preserve. So we know that we've got them on multiple preserves as far as bears. So there's a good deal of wildlife. We will actually put up signage to protect the public too when we have something like a coyote or a bobcat might have a nesting area, just to keep people away from it. We put up caution tape when we had a white bald-faced hornet nest that was too close to a line too, to kind of keep people away from. To some degree, you have to separate the visitors and the wildlife. This is for both, but sometimes you got to be careful on the mix.
Well, so often you're driving along and you see work being done on the side of the road, the ADA Act, the Americans with Disability Act. And does that pertain to the preserves? I mean, do you have to have special access to any of the preserves, or do you provide it?
Absolutely. If you've got the picture that we had of the Accessibility Award for Avalonia, this was the Community Engagement Award. This particular one is an accessible parking area that we're putting in on Yanatos Preserve in North Stonington. That's going to provide, you can see in the upper left of the parking area, there's an accessible parking space there.
Okay.
You'll also see to the right a fishing platform. It's sort of grayscaled, so it may not be too clear there, but there's a fishing platform which is one of the top fishing places in Connecticut, so that will be accessible. And the bridge going across will be a prefab bridge, 6 feet wide, that'll be totally accessible, so you'll be able to get to the other side of the Clarks Fall River there. This is an area where years ago we had built, based on some old millstones that were there, a footpath across it, but during the high flood stage, and you can see the high flood marks are beyond the river, it washed those stones down, so it's constant. So this will get it up above flood stage and be accessible. We've done now, we're working on 6 different preserves that will have totally accessible. 2 are already done, Copsbrook and Stonington on Al Harvey Road. So if you've got anybody with accessibility issues, there's spaces there. There's also a place with a trail that's fully accessible that people can walk around. So we're working more and more on that. And that was, if you have that clip on the Accessibility Award and the 6-foot wide vernal pool area where there's a bridge through there.
Okay.
That's an example of one that we've done.
Okay. Well, you must have to get together to discuss all this? I mean, do you have meetings throughout the year, and you know, do you special membership get-togethers?
We do. Well, the board actually meets every month, and then we have an annual members meeting, and that's coming up December 3rd, 4 to 6 p.m., and it's at the Ledger Congregational Church. We've had a meeting there before. That's a nice facility that people can gather at, and it's always a chance for new members to come in as well. But that gives us a chance to honor members. We have a Nature's Heroes Award that's announced at each of our annual members meetings for people who are exceptional volunteers who've done a lot for Avalonia.
Well, besides this particular meeting, your members-only meeting, if you want to become a member, I'm sure you're welcoming anybody that wants to join.
Absolutely.
But to get involved, I mean, do you have any volunteer days to get people to come and be involved, or cleanups or anything?
We have numerous stewardship events. Those are on, you'll see those come up on our Avalonia website, www.avalonia.org. Also, sometimes they're announced in public. We also have town committees. So there's a lot of ways you can join, and we certainly look forward to it.
Well, Dennis, this has been very interesting. I mean, from one Eagle Scout to another, I mean, I can understand how you got so involved with this. But, you're providing the area with a great service, and we really appreciate it. So
I
thank you
appreciate
very
it,
much.
and we look forward to, if we can have some of the troops out there that have Boy Scouts that want to do projects with us, those would be welcome.
Well, let's make that happen. Well, that's another wrap on Nautical Tales and Nature Trails. Help out SEC TV Groton and go to the YouTube page and get us over 1,000 subscribers. We're at 988 right now. We'll see you next time.